So in this example, the starting point is basically a company that, as of today, collects information on timesheets via paper. Then they have one person that consolidates all these paper entries in an Excel, which is then sent over to an SAP administrator, and the administrator then inputs the data into the SAP system. That was the starting point at this company. And as a first step, what they did is, well, they started from the Excel sheet. So basically, they created a new Excel template. And now, instead of asking each and everyone to submit the paper, what they said is, well, maybe what we could easily do is create a forms on top of our Excel sheet. And we'll ask the users to actually input the data in this form via the Microsoft form. So obviously, everyone can still submit the information via paper, but there's now also an option to do this via forms. Now, in my specific scenario here, I'm not going to ask for timesheet information, but since everyone should be able to reproduce this scenario, we are doing this against the public SAP ES5 system, which has information about products. So what we'll do is we'll ask for a list of products, and we'll have different entry points. The first one is obviously a product ID. Then we'll have another one that is the product name. We have a product description. And lastly, we have a product price. So all these information are now available as input fields. So I can, for example, quickly take a look here at the preview side. I can see I have these 4 entry points. I could maybe add here a different theme or something like that, but that's basically it. So now I can go over here. Actually, I can also ask, well, who should be able to enter information? So maybe this is only persons in my organization. Maybe this is just specific colleagues in my organization, or what I'll do is I'll just use this for anyone can respond. Now I'll go to collect response, and I can either, for example, easily create a QR code that everyone can scan, or what I'll just do is I'll use here a URL which we can then distribute among other colleagues. So if I now open up this form, I'll get this one. I'll just call this HBR 5000. We'll call this a Surface Duo. We'll give it cool phone, and let's say this costs 700. I can do the same thing again. I'll just call it again, and this time I'll give it another ID. And obviously this could all be automated, this could be checked and so on, but I'll just Surface laptop, new model, and this one costs 800. So if I click on submit, then what you can immediately see, if we go in here, we have here our 2 entries. So with this simple, very quickly step, we can now encourage our employees to not only submit their timesheet or our products via paper, but they can really do this via a form. And obviously this form would also work from a mobile device and so on. But now I have all this information. And the next step is obviously to go to the SAP system. So we would go to the SAP system, someone would open up the SAP GUI, you would need to log in to the SAP system, enter all the credentials, then run through the transactions and so on, and then finally update the information in the SAP system. Now, what I can also do is I can just create a Power Automate flow. And what we'll do is I'll just click here on Create. Then the screen opens up, and now I can actually record all the relevant steps in my SAP GUI. So Power Automate Desktop allows me to trace steps, basically, to record steps. So I'll start here, just the recorder here. I'll start the recording, and now what I'll do is I'll click here, for example, on the username. I'll enter the username here, and you can see here it's already tracing what's actually happening. Then let me click here on the password, and actually let me quickly take the password here and just copy it over here. And then we'll just enter this one, and now I have the password. Then the next thing is I can open up the transaction, the SEPM PD, and now I could just enter here HBR 5000. So I could take the information here from the Excel sheet and make it available in my SAP system. So if I click on create, I would then be able to enter all the relevant, actually let me resize this here, enter all the relevant information directly in, wait, there's something wrong, let me do it again, create here all the relevant information in the SAP system. Obviously here I can resize, I can correct the information in here, but then if I click on finish, then we would have the real flow. Now, what I have already done, since this is fairly mundane, I've created already such a flow that allows me to run through all the relevant SAP GUI screens and create a product. Now, the really cool thing is, if I switch back over to Excel, is I can do this directly from here. So if I go to data, then there's the Power Automate Flow extension. Actually, you might need to activate this. So there's an Office add-in here. And if I search for Power Automate, or here the Microsoft Flow extension, it's available here in the store, then you can just add this directly to Excel. If I do this, if I open up here the Power Automate Flow, you can see here the possibility to run Power Automate directly from within Excel. And that is for me really this power that we bring SAP, the usage of SAP to the business user. And you can see there are lots of templates here. And one of the templates is this: for a selected row, complete a custom action. And that's what we want to start with. So there's something in Excel, and then we want to trigger a custom action. So I'll just click on continue here. And the first step here is obviously for this trigger for an Excel role. So this is exactly our Excel file here. And you can see here we're interested in table 1. So if I select down here and I click on table 1, you can see that now I've linked this flow with this specific Excel sheet. And now what I can do as a next step is I can look at the different operators, actions that are part of the Power Automate flow. So in a second here, we can see the different actions. And one of the actions is this desktop flow. If I select this one and I select the run a flow with built with Power Automate for desktop, I can first of all connect here to my, I need to select the authentication to my SAP or to my Windows machine where the SAP GUI is running. And then I can see there's here the create product with VBS flow that I quickly showed you before. I'll go here in the attended mode just to show you what it does. And it asks me for these input fields. So what I'll now just do is I'll add here the product ID to the product field. The product name obviously gets here the product name. The description gets the description. The price gets the price. And in my specific case, I forgot to enter the product URL, so I'll just leave it like this. Here I will hard code the username and password. Again, this could be also referenced from an Azure Key Vault or something like that. And I'll just leave the password here as it is. So now if I save this flow, and I could have changed the name. It's now called for a selected row, complete a custom actions -3. If I do this, then I can now here, for example, go into this first row, and if I click on run, okay, I need to continue that I have really done the authentication. If I click on run flow, and now if we go back here to our SAP system, actually let me clean this up quickly. That's something that I forgot. But let me do this. If I go in here, let me also close this one. Then in a second, we will hopefully see that the Power Automate flow is triggered. Actually, maybe also, let me close this one here. There we go. So now the SAP GUI is started. We are authenticated. We are calling the transaction. We are filling in all the fields, and we are exiting out of the transaction already. So with this very simple step, actually, let me just close this off here. With this very simple step, I was able to create this product in the SAP system. And let me do this again. I'll just trigger it again for the next product. And while we wait for this to load, let me actually do the following. Let me open up here the underlying OData service. So this is the service for the very same SAP system. And you can see there's our product 5000. You can see the other one is not yet there. So, oh, maybe actually it was just created. So maybe it was just the process just finished. If I refresh here the screen, then we have, there you go. Here we have the first one, and here we have the second one created. So by using this Power Automate flow, and actually I need to check why it doesn't exit the SAP GUI as well. By using this Power Automate flow, we are able to run and execute and create a product in the SAP system. Now, you could argue, and I'm probably in a similar situation there, if you do this via this Power Automate desktop, then we need to click and wait for each UI step to finish, and that's great, especially if you're really a business user. If this is really what you do on a daily business, if you're working with the SAP GUI, then that's a great way to start. But actually, if you want to scale, if you want to increase the performance, then maybe doing this via another action is better. And I told you, we have hundreds of these actions already. And one of the actions is actually for an SAP ERP system. So the same thing that we are doing right now in this Power Automate desktop functionality, but now we are really doing this for an SAP system. And with this, what we can do is, I again need to provide credentials. And again, there are different ways how we could actually do this. But if I now enter the host name of the my SAP system, and again, this is behind a firewall, so we have an on-premises data gateway, so similar like the SAP connector assigned to it. We connect here to the application server host. We enter the client ID, we enter the system number, and now I can look for BAPIs and RFCs. And I know, for example, that there's a BAPI EPM, or there are lots of functions or BAPIs available for the enterprise procurement model. And what I'm interested in is here this product. So what I could do is, actually let me, what we could do is we could have this product create here, the BAPI EPM product create, and you could already see that it automatically retrieves the relevant information like the product ID, the type code, the category, the name, the description, the supplier ID. So all these different fields, I could now map these. So similar like what I did before, I could just say, look, we need the product ID in here, and I would do this for all these other fields. And then we could create the product from Excel using the very same functionality that we just saw in here, but we would create now the products via the RFCs or BAPIs. Now, this is perfectly fine, and this is actually a certified SAP connector, so it's really endorsed that you can connect using these RFCs from the Power Platform to the SAP system. But you already saw me using here an OData service. So instead of going here with this RFC, what I actually want to do is I want to show you how you can do the same thing via an OData. This OData connector is currently in private preview, but what you can do here is you can do the same things. I can create, I can read, I can update the information. So what I thought is instead of creating, let's go to updating. So I'll use here our OData connector, and I'll paste in this base OData service URL, and now I can browse available entities that are in this OData service, and I'll just select here this product set OData entity. And obviously, if I want to update something, I need here the product ID, and then the only thing that will update is the price. Just for simplicity's sake, I'll just select here the price. Now let me also remove the other ones. So I'll remove this one here. and I will also remove the specific flow, and I'll just click on save. So now what our flow does is it retrieves the information from the selected row, and then it updates the price for this specific product. So let's take a look quickly again. So here we have our product ID here, so the HBR 5000, and it costs currently 700 US dollar or whatever. So if I go in here and let's just say I want to let's make it a little cheaper, 650. Now if I click on run, we execute this specific flow. Now we are updating this information via OData. And if you know SAP, then you know that this update call requires fetching a CSRF token, making sure that the ETAG sets are correct. And with this, all of this is handled by the OData connector. So if I now go back in here, if I refresh this page, then we should see for our product HBR 5000, we can now see here an updated price. So within a few clicks, we were able to create a Power Automate flow that allows us to update information directly from Excel. Now in this scenario, Excel is still the leading user interface, or here are the data, here's where we update and retrieve the data. What we might also want to do is create an application, a dedicated application that allows us to connect to the SAP system. Now, creating dedicated applications is fairly easy. And for example, we could really within a few clicks create out of this Excel sheet a new Power App. What I want to do instead is I want to create a new standalone application. So we'll call this Fetch Products. And we'll just use this one to retrieve information from the SAP system. So we're now in Power Apps. This is basically a container that allows us to drag and drop objects. And what we'll do is we'll probably start with a button in here. That's just a, let's call this fetch or update products or something, or yeah, fetch products. So we'll do this. And when we do, when we click on the button, then what we want to do is we want to display the results here in a gallery. Now, obviously, we need to get the data from the SAP system. And that's where we have the functionalities to add certain actions. So out of Power Apps, we can call these Power Automate flows. So similar like what we did before from Excel, now I can do the same thing here from Power Apps. And what I've created up front is a flow, let me quickly see, that fetches the products. So let me actually quickly go here to Power Automate and take a look at this specific flow that I previously created. I mean, there's really not a lot to it. It's just if there is a trigger from Power Apps, then use the OData service, query the product set, and return the responses, basically. So return the information. And the only thing that I did is I mapped this to a JSON schema so that I know what is actually coming back. Now with this information, I can now do the following. Whenever someone clicks the button, I want to create a new collection. I'll call this set products, and there I will add here this Power Automate flow. So when someone clicks this button, we'll call this Power Automate function and put the results, basically cache the result in this so-called Z product collections. So if I do this, and I can do this directly here from within the designer, you can see here it's calling now the OData service. And if we just take a look here at this collection, you can now see here there's some data coming back from the SAP system. Now what we need to do is we need to go to this collection here, and I will actually use a different layout, maybe something like this, because we don't have the picture at the moment. So I'll just increase this, and we'll add the data source here, our Z product data source. And with this, we have already information from the SAP system in our Power App. Now, obviously here, this accessories, if I click on this, it's the category, which probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So we'll rename this to name. And maybe this one here, let's use here the category, for example. And you can see I can just start typing, and then it suggests me the relevant information. Now, you probably, if you're familiar with other low-code tools, that's probably already something similar that you can do with other tools. But now I want to highlight one of the things that really shows the power of the Power Platform, and also the benefits of the Power Platform being part of this overall Microsoft investments. So here, for example, I have this created at field, which is great, but this is a very strange data field. So instead of this one, what is probably good enough if I have the date, so not the timestamp. And then since I'm here in Germany, it's probably also not. This is probably not the right format. So what I would actually like is to have 2nd of May 2022, which is something that is fairly easy. So if you're a developer, then this is a beautiful regular expression and fairly easy to handle. But I, as the business user, have no idea. So what we have done is we've infused the same technology that we're actually using for GitHub Copilot also here in the Power Platform. And I think that's where it's even more interesting, where it's even more powerful, because I'm now talking really to the business user, and I'm just saying, look, this is the format that I would actually like. So I don't know how to restructure it, but I can just click on Get Ideas, and very similar like what GitHub Copilot is doing when you develop something, Power Automate is now trying to evaluate this one. What would be the expression? And apparently it looks like this one. So if I click on Apply, then you'll see it updates this strange formula here, so that I really see the dates. Or similar, let's do, obviously if I have this list here, it's a fairly long list, and I would like to have a search functionality here. So what I'll do is I just add here a text input form. And I mean, obviously we could call this search or whatever, but now what I can do again, I can just go here to the ideas and say search. What do we want to search? We want to search for name by, and then the field was here text input. That was the name. And now if I click on Get Ideas, it suggests here there's a filter functionality. So I'll just click on Apply again. And now you see everything is gone. And why? Well, now it's search for text input. So if I remove this, then I get all the information. And now if I search, for example, for surface, we can see our two things here. Or if I search for notebook, then I have implemented the search capabilities. So again, by just adding or expressing in natural language what I want to do, I'm able to create an application that allows me to display the information in the way that I like it, and also implement functionalities like filtering and searching. So with this now, we have an application that allows us to display information directly from the SAP system. We saw how we can create new information from Excel. What about now creating new scenarios from the app itself? And for this, actually, I have created a new application. It's the same thing, basically. It has the same functionality. If I click on here, and we are fetching the information from SAP, and we are displaying this here in our app. But I also added two additional functionalities. The first one here is a barcode scanner. And the only thing that we're doing here, if someone clicks on this button, then we are using a functionality to identify an ISBN code and retrieve this here in the Power Platform. Then in the second step, create an SAP. What we are doing, we are looking up the information. So we're calling a Power Automate flow, this scan and create flow, which basically looks up the information of this ISBN number, and then it retrieves the information like book information and so on, and then it returns the information to the SAP system. So we're calling here an API to look up the ISBN number, and then we use, in this specific case, actually a custom connector to connect to the SAP system, and we are just creating this product in SAP. So, and that's what we can also quickly show you. So if I this is actually here on my mobile device. Actually, let me quickly go back here. So this is the application on my mobile device. If I go here to the Power App, then we can see the very same application. If I click on Fetch Products from SAP, we're connecting to the SAP system, and we're getting the products back from SAP. Now, what I can do is I can click on Scan, and now what we see is that I can scan this ISBN number, so you can see immediately the results here from the SAP system. And now if I click on Create in SAP, we're doing exactly what I just showed you in the flow. So we're looking up the product from this specific ISBN number, then we retrieve the title in this case, and then as a result we create a random product information number, and this is then actually created in the SAP system. So actually, if we go back in here, let me just call this once again here, let's refresh this page in here, then we should be able here, this is now the product that we just created from our mobile device. Obviously, if we would call the OData Service, we would see the very same thing directly from there. Now, this allows us now to easily interact also with native features of the SAP system or of the mobile device. Now, when we look now at what the business user can actually do, you can see that the business user just drags and drops the information, but still sometimes maybe there's a requirement to actually do more, be it the OData Service or providing additional connectivity information, maybe additional APIs and so on. In order to do that, we need to somehow get the pro coder involved in the whole thing. And for this, actually, if we look at Visual Studio Code now, we have the possibility to connect our Power App that we have created directly with the with GitHub, so that we can really leverage the Git resource repository for storing the information from the Power App, which then obviously also enables us to do modification, to do developments directly from Visual Studio Code. And for example, this is this list and create application that is now available in GitHub, and one of the files is this screen one file here, and you can already see here that there's the text, and let me just do here for DSAG. So I'll just enter here some additional steps. Obviously now I have a change, so I'll next update for text. I'll just add this here to the staging area, and then I can just commit this change to GitHub. So if I synchronize the changes, then this update is available in GitHub, which now means if I go actually back to my, let me actually wait till the sync is finished. And obviously now when this is finished, when this is implemented, then we could run some automated tests and so on directly from GitHub. But if I'm back here at the business user level, if I just click on refresh the screen once, so we are loading the latest informations, then you can see in a second that here, for example, this text was updated. And that's actually really, really powerful. If, for example, you have a scenario where you need to duplicate, copy a lot of information and so on, then we can easily do this directly from GitHub, where maybe it's easier to just copy and paste certain code snippets and stuff like that. And we can do all of this directly now also in our Power App. So with this, we saw how you can create data from Excel, how you can get the information live into a Power App, how you can interact with this Power App, also with mobile features like the device scanner, or then creating information using the very same concepts, the very same building blocks from Power Automate that we used in Excel and in this Power App. So the next thing that I want to show is how this can also be integrated, for example, in Outlook. And for this, I have created a flow that allows me to create a product from an incoming email. So the idea is that if someone sends me an email, there I would extract the attachment. So only if there is an attachment assigned to this email, then we want to trigger this specific Power Automate flow. In my scenario, this trigger would be an attachment that contains an instruction on what products should actually be created in the SAP system. So when we, for example, take a look at this email here, this email would be sent to Nestor. And actually, let me open up here this attachment. Then you can see this is an unstructured text. There's some information up front here. There's information in the text. And then there's a table with product information. Now, if I send this email, then what happens in the flow is we are waiting for this trigger that this email actually arrives. We look at the attachment, and that's where we are using the AI Builder functionality. So this AI Builder functionality allows us to extract relevant information from a PDF document, from a form. And what I've done up front is basically I trained this AI Builder with information on what informations I'm actually interested in. So basically I uploaded a few examples, and then here I created a model that allowed me to specify, look, there's a table, and in this table there's information like the product ID, a product name, and so on. And you can see, I mean, here on a high level, there was some information up front, and I tagged the products that I'm really interested in. So with this information now, the flow will kick off. It will extract the relevant information. And then once it has this information, we will actually loop over these products and send an adaptive card to Teams. So now from Outlook, we're getting information, we're retrieving information from a PDF document, and then we're sending this information to Teams. So actually, let's quickly look at that. So if we head over, or actually let me first of all open up Outlook so that we can see that the email has actually arrived. And here we go. Here's our email with the relevant PDF document. And now the flow should have actually already been triggered. So if we take a look at this, okay, that is probably the first one. Let me see if, and we click on refresh. Here we go. Now it's running. So we retrieved the initial trigger. The email is there. We created random ID. We are now processing, or we have actually started to process the form, and not sure why. We should see here the actual processing, but actually what might be that we're waiting now for the confirmation on Teams. So if I go to Teams, I can already see actually that there is an activity, and down here we can see that there is an adaptive card that says, look, there's a new product. Do you want to approve or reject it? And this is exactly the first product here that we saw in our incoming documents here, this Surface Studio laptop. So if I go back here to Teams, I can just click on approve. And then we should see 2 additional approvals. So here's the second one for the Surface 8. So let's approve this one as well. And then for the last one, for the third product, we can just reject it, just for the fun of it. And with this, we have now made the decision, and now there you can see it's already turned to green. So we have looped over the different products, the 3 products here, 1, 2, 3. And for example, with this one, we sent the adaptive card. If the answer was yes, then we actually add the product to the SAP system, which again means now if I go back to the Power App, for example, if I click here on refresh, then we should see here the product here, the Surface Studio laptop with this new, and the Surface Pro 8 also with this ID. So we've now created a product directly also from Outlook using the Power Automate flow. So the last thing that I quickly want to show is the Teams integration. So we already talked about Teams, and I mean here these tiles, these notifications are very easy, as you saw, that they can easily be triggered from a Power Automate flow. But another cool thing can be if we have a chatbot, and that's something that you again can directly do from within Teams. So no need to jump to a new tool to find a new product or something like that. I can do this directly from within Teams. And in Teams here, I can literally really start the development here in 5 minutes. So that's what we'll do. I click here on Start Now. I can select here the Teams channel. So I'll do Contoso. And now the Power Virtual Agent wizard basically generates all the framework, all the required topics to get started. So I'll just need I'll give it a name, DSAG02. We'll do this in German. I click on create, and now the initial bot framework is created. So there are certain topics that are basically trigger events that help me to kick off a certain discussion with my chatbot. There are some sample data that is created and so on. But in the end, I really have a bot that I can use to quickly interact with in an easy way. So if I click on here, Explore Bot, then it's still being created, but you can, for example, already see if I click here on the topics that some of the topics like there's an easy topic, some conversational, some escalations, and an end to the discussion and so on. All of this is automatically created, and I can obviously disable it. I can overwrite it, but I can also add new trigger phrases. And that's what I want to do now. So the chatbot is now created, and I can go here to the topics, and I can really start creating new topics. Before I do this, I quickly also again want to highlight there's a seamless integration between the low-code developer, the business user, the citizen developer, and the pro-code developer, who can quickly take what was generated out here and continue the discussion in the bot composer framework. For one, I just want to create a new topic here, so I'll click on this, and I'll just say here the trigger phrases is SAP, is product, material, and maybe a few other ones, and then we'll just have here a welcome message, and then we'll ask the user a question. We'll say what's the product, what's the name of the product, or what's the ID of the product. And we'll just take the entire response and put it in a variable called product ID. With this, and now again, this power of the Power Platform comes in. We're just saying, I want to leverage an existing Power Automate flow. And this Power Automate flow is just called lookup products from SAP. So I'll just take this one here. This has one input parameter, so we'll take the product ID from here, and as a result, we'll get the name, the description, and the price. So this is something that I can just reply in a message where I say product. We'll call this product ID is a product name. Oops, sorry, is a product name, which is done. We'll put in here the description on costed, and it costs the product price. So this is a very, very simple flow, but I hope that you can see the idea and get the simplicity. So we're using here a low-code tooling to create a chatbot flow we are connecting to an SAP system using an existing Power Automate flow, and then we can just test it from here. So I can say hi, so I can start the interaction with the standard greeting, and then I could say, ich brauche Information zu einem SAP-Produkt. Oops. And then it asks me, you can see we are already now in this flow here. What's the product? What is the product? And we'll just say HT through 1000. That's the product ID. And obviously you get the idea. This could be a name. This could be a description. This could be additional information. But now we're just using this information to connect to the SAP system. So we're retrieving HT 1000 is notebook 15, which is a notebook blah, 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 with the information, and it costs 379. So that's exactly this notebook 15. If we go back here to the Power App, if we maybe just look at this here, notebook 15, that's exactly the one that we're talking about here. So, and now obviously as a last step, what I can quickly do is I can publish this and I can open it up in Teams. So no big deal. Obviously, if I would like to scale this and if I would like to really make this an app in my company, then I need to be an administrator to actually publish this and to make it really available to all the colleagues. But for me, maybe this is good enough. Maybe that's a good start for me, that I can easily, that I don't need to switch to a different user interface, that I don't need to switch to a new user interface and enter some information there via copy and paste and stuff like that. Wait, why is this not working? Let me quickly look for SAP. Okay, maybe I didn't do materi. Oh, I had a typo in here. And then I just say here HT 1000. We're looking up the information again, and now I have this experience natively in Teams. So in a second, hopefully we should get the answer also in Teams. So with this now, you saw that I can easily create low-code tooling. So you never saw me writing one single line of code, but still I was able to connect to an SAP system to retrieve information there. We have, and obviously in a lot of these cases, I just used basic authentication, but we have a lot of information that can help you get started also with more complex scenario like single sign-on. There are obviously a lot of information on how you can do governance and security with the Power Platform. So actually, if we let me quickly show you here some information. So there is the developer program to get started. There is a lot of information here at aks.ms low code where really you have a lot of things to learn about the Power Platform, to get started with the Power Platform. And then we also have our dedicated SAP on Azure channel on YouTube, where we really talk about how you can connect with SAP and Microsoft. And actually, we just recently had a discussion on how to use Azure API management with principal propagation, so the whole single sign-on flow, and the Power Platform. So if you are interested in this, then we have here a really end-to-end, we have a nice end-to-end recording that showed you how you can connect your Power App. So you can see here that this is basically the end of the Power Automate flow, how you can have this Power Automate flow connecting via single sign-on to your SAP system. So with this, again, I hope this this quick introduction showed you how you can use the Power Platform in the context of SAP, how you can connect these two worlds, how you can create integrations into Excel, standalone applications, integrate in Outlook, in Teams, and in lots of other Microsoft products in a very easy way. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you soon.